I was, oh my gosh, I can get this done. Guys, I won at Yarn Chicken. Ding, 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 ding. Ta-da! I could have had a V8, right? How much do you love your mom? 100 or 45? Hey, y'all. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Melissa, and this is Melissa Knits for Fun. This week has been a series of happy accidents of the knitty style. I will get into more of that as we go along, but just know I have a couple of finished items, 3 test knits, and 3 knit-alongs going. I have lost my mind. So if this sounds like your type of fun and you want a virtual knit night, grab your knitting, sit down, and stay a spell. As you might notice, one of my happy accidents is I kind of had an accidental finished object this week. I was not planning to finish the Monarca. I told y'all last week that in fact I was going to work on it because it was in the queue. It was the next thing that I was going to get done of my plethora of whips. Well, after I got off of here last week and I was sitting in there watching TV on Wednesday nights as I normally do because I record on Wednesday, my friend Shauna comes over. We are right now watching the Dexter series, and as we were sitting there watching, I had already edited my video. I had gotten everything done, and I picked this up because I was like, you know what? I keep saying I'm going to get this done, and then I don't pick it up, so I ran back in here. I grabbed it, and I started working on it. It just flew off my needles. It was just, I couldn't put it down. And before I knew it, I only had like an inch to go before I was ready to do ribbing on it. So of course I kept working on it. And then I got the body done. So once I got the body done, I just had to get the sleeves done, right? I mean, I was, oh my gosh, I can get this done. So I did. I kept working on it, and it became an accidental finished object. I had no intentions of finishing this object this week. I figured if I got it done in the next several weeks by the end of the year, I'd be happy. Well, lo and behold, one short week later, and I have a finished Monarca. And guys, I love this. Look at this ribbing detail down here through the raglan. It is what made me desperately want to make this. It is by Claudia Quintanilla, and it is out of Memory Lane. It's also available on Ravelry. And I just noticed, look, isn't that kind of cool? It looks really funky as I'm holding her face up to mine. But this is Memory Lane by Claudia Quintanilla, also known as You Knit Toronto. And I got this as part of the Fruity Knitting Retreat in Costa Rica that I went to in February. So as part of that, because we had homework, we got this pattern and then another pattern that was for lace in order to do homework for the classes that we were going to be going to. So this was sent to me as a digital pattern. I honestly did not know that it was called Monarca because it didn't have the name on it. I found it in here, and I want to show you real quick. There are absolutely some beautiful patterns in this book. I'll be honest, I'm not sure that if I had to purchase it, that I would have purchased the book, because I don't know that there's enough patterns in it to justify me buying it versus just buying the patterns that I wanted to make. But I'm glad that I have this book. I wanted to just show y'all, you can see it's got embroidery on it, and you can see that down this line there's some little butterflies, then there's some larger butterflies up in here. And then she also, in her ribbing, you can see on both the hem and the cuffs, she did two-toned ribbing. Well, I didn't want to do any of that. This was kind of a lesson learned kind of thing, because I knitted this. I started knitting it in January, and you needed to get it down to where you had split for sleeves in order to do the embroidery on it. Well, I can embroider. I've done embroidery projects. I've done counted cross stitch, I've done embroidery, but I've never embroidered on a knitted piece. So I don't know what the heck I was thinking, because she also said you could just bring a swatch and use that to practice on. But no, I was going to go in and I'm going to embroider on this right on the sweater. Well, that was dumb, because I quickly learned that I didn't know what the heck I was doing, and I did not want to ruin a beautiful sweater. So I wasn't going to be able to embroider in the class. I did do a few things, and then I removed it all. And then I decided, honestly, that I just really wanted a navy blue sweater, and that I loved this raglan detailing so much. And I love the color. This is the Knitting for Olive Deep Petroleum Blue, and I held the merino and the soft silk mohair together. I did use the same color, so it's not one, you know, the merino. Sorry, I have something white there and it was distracting me. I didn't hold like a navy and a deep petroleum, or, you know, deep petroleum merino and then navy mohair, and nothing like that. Both of them are deep petroleum. And if I get a little bit closer, you can see that while, yes, they're the same color, there's a little teeny tiny bit of marling you can kind of see right in here, where the mohair is a little darker than the merino. And I brought the merino in here. I didn't bring the mohair. I don't know why, because I didn't, but it is darker, and you'll be able to tell because you can see the finished product versus the merino. I brought this merino because, guys, I won at Yarn Chicken. I won. I was very excited about that because I was going along and I was like, I'm not going to be able to finish this sleeve with this amount of merino. And so I kept knitting and kept knitting. I did have to open up another skein of mohair, but I know with Knitting for Olive, if I'm making a long sleeve sweater, I need 5 balls of the merino and 6 balls of the mohair. So I had plenty of mohair, but I really thought I was going to need another ball of merino. Well, Letha has the mohair in this color, but she does not have the merino in this color. So I was looking at having to order it from, like, I'm not going to order it from Knitting for Olive overseas to get 1 ball of yarn. So I probably would have ordered it from Wool & Company. Excuse me, because to be honest, I completely forgot we have a store in Bentonville that also carries it. And I could have run up there, but guys, that trip going to Bentonville, I try to avoid that at all costs. The only time I ever go up that way is if I'm going to see Michelle. My best friend is worth driving that way. There's not a whole lot that is worth driving that up there to Bentonville and having to deal with all that mess. So I just completely forgot that we had a store. So I probably would have just ordered it, not even thought about driving up there and just picking up a ball of it. But happy news is I did not need it. Now, you may be looking at this going, you should have made your sleeves longer. So maybe you did need it, but no, when it blocks, because I can actually pull it. If I pull the stuff, I have enough material here. It's just that it's not blocked, and so it's the fibers are bunched up. So it'll be just fine once I block it. I haven't blocked it. I haven't knitted in or put in the ends. I've got some ends right here that I keep tucking. But this is just scrumptious. I love the combination of Knitting for Olive, merino, and soft silk mohair. And I really, really love navy blue, hunter green, burgundy, chocolate brown, all of those really autumnal colors. So I am super excited that I have my first hand knit, not my first ever sweater in navy blue, because I do love navy blue, but it's my first hand knit in a true navy. So I'm really, really excited about that. So this was my first happy knitty accident. I just accidentally got it finished. Wasn't planning on it. It just kind of happened. Now, another happy accident is that I have an accidental knit along. Joyen, I believe is how you pronounce her name, of Tox Knits, she put out a picture saying that she was going to knit the Lillehammer sweater from the, I believe it's the 1994 Olympics. And I'll stick a picture up here. It is one of my fantasy knits. It's just stunning. And I had commented and said, how can I find that pattern? I'd really love to knit that. And she sent back, it's a free pattern. So she sent me, you know, the link and everything to where I could go and get the pattern. And I got the pattern, and I decided, because there were two versions of the pattern. The first one was the original 1994 pattern, apparently. And that was back before House of Yarn apparently bought Dale Garn, Do Store Alpaca, and I think, oh, the one that I had last week that I said I hated that yarn. The Gestal, or however you pronounce that. Those brands all reside under House of Yarn now. And so the new pattern uses Do Store Alpaca Stirk, which is, this is a DK weight. And I have been looking for an excuse to knit a sweater in this, because it really is nice. It is an alpaca wool nylon blend. It's 40% alpaca, 40% merino, and 20% nylon. So this would be nice for also a DK, say, thing of socks. But I've been wanting to have an excuse. So I now have an excuse, and the colors that I'm going to use, if you'll see in the picture, there's 5 colors, I think it is. There's a primary back color, there's a primary contrast color, and then there's some contrast colors that go around, like the sleeve here, and I think around the hemi, and I don't want to mess with all of that, so I truly just want 2 colors. So I decided I was going to do an off-white, and this is a really dark green. I think it's called spruce or pine, and I'll put the information up here. It is a really, really beautiful green color. It looks more teal as I'm holding it up because it's being blown out a little bit, but it's really a deep, dark green. It's that forest green that I love so much. So I will be using those, but how it wound up being an accidental knit along is, she also had, as you can imagine, multiple other people saying, oh my gosh, where can I get that pattern? I'd love to knit this. And so she said, okay, everybody, I'm just going to start a chat and we're going to do a knit along. You know, obviously, if you didn't want to be in the chat, you could remove yourself. But I decided I'll just stay. I love the social aspects of a knit along. So it's been a lot of fun seeing everybody's colors. I think that only me and one other person are using the recommended yarn. There's one person's using 220, so it's going to be a worsted weight. They're going to have to modify it a little bit because of gauge. So it'll be interesting to see how all of these come out. And you actually steek the armholes so that you don't have to do the color work in the flat, because it's knitted bottom up. So you actually steek the armholes. So this will be very interesting. I've steeked before. I'm not afraid to steek. I've never done one where I steek the armholes. I don't think that you steek the neck as well. There are some people who are trying to figure out how to do it top down. I'm not that fussed about it. I'm just going to do it bottom up and follow the directions. The charts. Woo! Guys, these charts. I mean, I took a look at these charts and I was like, holy cow, I'm glad that I have Knit Companion so that I can pull this in so that I can actually blow the charts up, because I printed it. And guys, my old eyes, I can't see all that stuff. My eyes are over 50. I've told y'all before, I'm 56 years old. That means my eyeballs are 56 as well. And they don't see as well as they used to. And they definitely don't see the teeny tiny little print that goes along with this chart. That is a large chart, but it's condensed to about this size. So I'm very, very glad that it's digital as well, so that I can import it into Knit Companion and just blow that chart up to where that I can see it. So I will be starting on that. The yarn is on its way. I did order the yarn from Lindy Hobby. It'll be here next week, so I can show it to you next week. When it comes in, I will do a little swatch and go from there. I don't know. I might not swatch. I might just fly by the seat of my pants, but I will probably cast on when it comes in. So those are my 2 happy accidents, my knitty style happy accidents. Other than that, I have been fairly productive. because, ding, 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 ta-da, it is done. Now, it needs to be blocked. Things need to be woven in. You can see this is curling up. It was a 3-needle bind off. Shout out to Jane for sending me instructions, because I kept thinking, you know, if this were top down and if I were folding it, like if I were starting from here and I were folding it, I would just do a provisional cast on and then I would just knit them together and go on. And I was like, how can I do a provisional cast on in the middle, right? How do I get those needles there? Well, duh. Once Jane said, do this, I was like, I could have had a V8, right? As the old saying goes. But I was like, oh my gosh, just like that little emoji. I was like, I did not even think about it. I put in a lifeline. And with the sleeves, and they look a little better, and I'm wondering if it's because it's so large or if I just bound off tighter why it's curling. But with these, I used yarn as my lifeline, and then I had to take the needle and pick it up. Well, I learned. And down here, what I did was I put a cord in and capped them off with the little stitch stopper thingies that go in the ends of interchangeable needles. And then whenever I got ready to do the 3-needle bind off, I just put the needle on one end and then went along and did my 3-needle bind off. Now I've got, oh, that's yarn. I was like, I've got something funky going on right there, but it's where I haven't woven in my ends yet. So I've got to wove in my ends, or what was I fixing to say? Weave. I've got to weave. Right now, I've got to weave, because I can truly say words today. I've got to weave in the ends on this, and then I'm throwing it in the washer and the dryer, just like I'm sure that Anna will, you know, launder it. So I want to make sure that it's going to stand up to how it's going to be laundered. I'm obviously not going to put it on high heat. It'll just be normal. And I'm not going to put this will be put on delicate. I'm not going to put it through like a normal wash. And then I've also got to, back here is going to have a little flower, and I will probably, or a little button, and I'll probably use a flower button because the girls really like flower buttons, and I have some over there in my button drawer. So I'll probably use a flower button, and I've got to crochet a little hook that will go around that. And then this is completely done, but you can see this is the Anker's dress by PetiteKnit, and it was made using yarn that when Letha showed it to me and said, what do you think? I was like, oh, send that back. That is horrible. Why would you ever want, you know, glittery yarn? Because I don't know. Let me hold it up and see if you can see. Kind of, if I turn it just right, you can see it doesn't show up very well on the camera, but it's glittery. It's got glitter, or not glitter, but it's got, there you go, you can see the sparkle. It's got lyocell or whatever that stuff's called that is sparkly in it. And I wish it showed up more on the camera, because it really is just adorable in person. But I saw this and I was like, oh, you need to send that back. Who wants glittery yarn? Woo! Why would you ever want to do glitter or sparkle, right? I don't know. I feel the same way about sequins. Have not changed my mind about sequins. But I had that thought. And then, of course, I was like, wait a minute. Again, at that time, I'm 55. I'm probably not the key demographic for sparkly yarn. And there were a bunch of girls out at the table at the yarn shop, because it was Saturday, I think. So it was a big knit day. A bunch of young, like 20s girls. And she brought it out there. I said, go ask them, because they're probably going to be a better barometer. So she took the yarn out there, and there were 3 colors. There's this color. There's, excuse me while I bend over, this color, teal and pink. And then there was a pink. Like, this is purple with pink, but there was a pink. So there were 3 colors, and she took them out, and all the girls were like, oh, that is so pretty. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. Yes, I would love to knit with that. And I was like, well, see, glad you didn't trust me, because I would have had to send it back. And then my friend Ginger is like, oh, my granddaughters, I should knit them like tops or something out. And I went, Oh, I got two girls. Got two girls in Massachusetts. I need to send Anna a picture. So I sent Anna a picture of the 3 colors, and I said, hey, would the girls like something in this? And she showed them the yarn, and of course they came back and said, yes, please, yes. And they picked out their own colors. So Emberlyn picked the purple, and this is Emberlyn's dress, the little Anker dress. I think I may have said Anker T earlier. And if I did, I will correct myself again, because I constantly call this the Anker dress, or Anker T instead of Anker's dress. And this is the Anker's dress by PetiteKnit. And they both wanted a dress. So I did dresses that you can see. This is Azalea's, the oldest one. They go together. They both have ribbing at the top, but they don't match. They're not the same dress. Azalea is over matching. So they don't match, but they go together. It's the same kind of yarn. Both got ribbing at the top. And this is the Sunday dress by PetiteKnit as well. And so I, decided that I would knit both of these. And then lo and behold, Anna's pregnant again. She's due in January with another little girl. They have another little boy. They have a little boy as well that is the youngest right now until the baby's born. And I made him a little top. A couple of episodes ago, I got it done so you'd be able to see it. It's the t-shirt number 3 by Sandus Garn. It's really, really cute. I made it long sleeved instead of short sleeved, and it is ready to go. And then, like I said, lo and behold, another little girl is coming. So out of the leftover ball of yarn that I have from my sorrel, not going to hold it with mohair, but just that base yarn, that pretty pink speckledy yarn that is a superwash, so it'll be able to be washed and dried. I'm going to make the baby a dress that is completely ribbed all the way down the body. So all 3 of them will have ribbing in their dress, so they will go together, but they won't be matching. All right, so again, Anker's dress for Emberlyn out of the, I didn't tell y'all the color, or the yarn name. It is Aracuna Hosco Cotton Glitter, or Glisten, I think it's called, Glisten. And this is Sparkling is the name of this yarn, or the colorway. It is the name of the colorway. So I got that done. I told y'all last week that I thought I would be able to get this done, and I did. I had no clue I would be able to get this done. Not at all. I thought, I'll come in, I'll have a few more rows done at the bottom, everything will be good. But boy, it just knits up so fast. It just knitted up like a dream. And in addition to that, I'm in another knit along that is for the yarn shop. Oh, and I will show you, I thought I was going to play Yarn Chicken with this dress as well, and I might have if I'd continued it. I cut it off about 10 rows before I was supposed to start the bottom ribbing, or the bottom part, but it was just long enough to me, so I might have played Yarn Chicken if I'd kept going. But I do have about this much left, so yay, no Yarn Chicken, another win. All right, and then, as I said, I'm in a knit along at the yarn shop. This is the Isabell Kraemer sweater, the one that I don't like to try to pronounce because I know I'm saying it wrong, and I just sound weird to myself when I try to say it. So I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to call it the Isabell Kraemer sweater. I will put the actual name up down here with the information like I always do. And this knit along, we're all doing it in different colors. I am doing this beautiful green and white. Ginger's doing blue and white. Liddy is doing, it's either black or charcoal and white. Dana is doing, I want to say shades of brown maybe. And then Letha is doing 2 purples. And I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that's doing it. And I just don't remember. But several of us at the yarn shop are doing this. I did get it. It's almost ready. Last week, I think I had just done this third. Or maybe I had just done the second one. Anyway, no, because I had split for sleeves. So I had definitely done the third. It's almost, I'm about 4 rows before I start the next white part. Now, she only has 6 of the white contrast bands in hers. I'm not sure that's going to be long enough on me. And I know she's tall and thin, and so it's plenty long for her. I like mine a little longer. But at 6, I will try it on and see where I'm at as far as how it fits me. So I've only got, I mean, I'm almost to the 4th one, and then I'll just have a couple more after that to start trying it on and see about length. Doubt very seriously it's going to get done next week because I've got other things that I'm working on as well. But it might be done in a couple of weeks. So this knit along number 2 is with the Yarn Shop. And I am using the 10 Peer Ghent, and the green is called Rainforest and the white is called White. I like it whenever a colorway name makes sense. So I think I'm using the recommended needle size. I think it's, excuse me while I put my stitches back on because I forgot to put my Oscar the Grouch stitch stoppers on here because I do have some that is Oscar, and of course with this being green I thought that was appropriate, like Cookie Monster was with my blue sweater. But I'm using, I believe it's a 3 or a 3.25 millimeter, and so I'm using the recommended needle size, and it's going pretty quick. So again, Isabell Kraemer sweater, 10 Peer Ghent. Don't know what else to tell you about it. It really fits really nicely whenever I try it on. And so I'm pretty excited about the fit. I did decide to go one size down from what I normally would have picked because I'm trying to be conscious of not making them too large. This sweater right now, it fits a little bit different because I have blocked it to this point. So all of this down here is not blocked, and so when I put it on and I'm like, oh, it's a little bit too tight down here, well, it's because it's not been blocked. It's going to fit more like up here, which I really like the fit of. So once it gets blocked, it will be fine. All right, KAL number 2. Knit along number 2. All right, and yarn overboard. We'll just let it sit back there then. I'll get the yarn afterwards. And then that brings me to the knit along number 3. I have shared this on one of my other videos that was all about the whips. Whips everywhere, not a finished object in sight. And this is a Salty Days sweater by Veronika Lindberg, otherwise known as Kutokavika. And I decided, because I've made a Salty Days sweater, I will wear it in a later podcast when it's a little bit colder, but it is made out of Holst Garn CeeLo, which is an alpaca wool blown yarn. So it's pretty warm and it's an Aran weight. So therefore it's, you know, it's heavy. But when I made that and I got the body done and I put it on, because this is a drop shoulder construction, I put it on, it didn't have any sleeves. And I was like, oh, this kind of looks good. And my friend Shauna was like, oh, that looks really good. Maybe you should make it sleeveless. Well, I don't really wear a lot of vest, so I wasn't going to make that sleeveless. And I wanted sleeves on it. So I went ahead and made sleeves, but that got me to thinking that maybe I could make a summer version of the Salty Days and just leave the sleeves off. And I am using PetiteKnit by Sandus Garn. And this is a viscose linen cotton blend. I have made other things out of the different weights. There's 3 weights to it. There's 10 Lena, which is a fingering. There's Lena. They call Lena their worsted weight. I'm telling you, Lena is not worsted. It is a DK. And then there's Tick Lena, which they say is bulky. It is not bulky. It's a worsted weight. So, I don't know. Whatever. When I get gauge, and everybody I talk to says Lena is a DK. So I've done several things out of the Lena and out of the 10 Lena. I've got a Anker tee out of the 10 Lena, and I've got 3 Tolsta tees out of the Lena. And I think I have something else out of the Lena that I just can't think of. This will be my first garment in Tick Lena. I have a little bag I made out of it. But this will be my first garment in Tick Lena, and I'm really excited about this knit along. And this knit along is with Lovely Day Knits, and her name is Alicia, and she is running a Veronika Lindberg knit along. So it is any Veronika Lindberg pattern that you want to do. And she set up, it was kind of funny because she put out the KAL. She did a little video on it, and I will link to her channel in the details. She did a video about the knit along and what the rules are, and it's really simple and laid back. Whips are welcome, so yay, that kind of kick-started me into I should get this done. It should be a pretty quick knit. And, you know, whips are welcome, any pattern, and you don't have to get done by December the, you know, or I think it's December the 1st. I think it runs the whole month of November. It starts November 1st. I think it ends December 1st. You don't have to be done in order to be entered for the prize. So I was like, you know, this is really laid back. I can do this. I already have a whip. And it's one that I'd really like to get done and not have hibernate to next year, but I couldn't justify bringing it in. Well, now I can because I have this knit along. But so she put out this video, and then she put out a thing on her Instagram, and she's like, if you want to be entered into the chat, you know, press chat or put chat in the comment and I'll add you. The last time I checked, I want to say there were like 250 or 300 of us in this Instagram chat. As you can imagine, at first it was just insane. It has definitely died down since then. But just so much chatter, people couldn't keep up with it. I mean, it was just scrolling. So somebody said, hey, what if we took this off onto Discord? And so now there's a Discord channel as well. And it's got a different, I don't know if those are called rooms or channels or what they're called. I think it's a Discord server is her Lovely Day Knits for the KAL. And then I think their channels are the different things. I don't know enough about Discord. But anyway, there's a different room for each one. And so there's one for Salty Days. And you can share your photos. I'm also watching the Arctic Lights because I also want to do Arctic Light and Stripe Pipe. So I'm watching to see people's stuff. Then we've got an off-topic and a chatty knitter. And anybody that knows me knows that I am a chatty knitter. So I like seeing all of this. So there's been a lot of really good discussion. And when she came out and she was like, okay, I set up the Discord channel. Let me know if you want to move to Discord or if you want to stay here. I was like, well, do I have to choose one or the other? Because I'm nosy Rosie. I like to know. I don't want to be excluded out of one chat group. So then it became, I want to be in both. Remove me from the Instagram channel. Or stay in Instagram or, you know, move me to Discord and remove me. So anyway, I'm in both. That was a really long story to say I've joined this knit along that's going to kick off November the 1st. So that's knit along number 3. Having a lot of fun, as I've said. I love the social aspect, so I am just loving it. And there's a lot of, I mean, there's people from all over the world in there, just like there is for the Lillehammer sweater, but it's much more pronounced because of the fact that there are so many people in the Veronika Lindberg one in the Lovely Day Knits. There's people from Australia, there's people from, I think, Poland and the UK, and of course over here in the US. I was shocked there's 3 of us from Arkansas. What the heck? We never have that kind of representation whenever I'm out there. So, woo! Yay! Way to represent knitters from Arkansas. So there's 3 of us from Arkansas in there. And we're just having a great time chatting it up. Some people have already started. Of course, we've got whips. I'm not planning on picking this back up until November the 1st. But hey, I thought that I would just tell y'all I'm in another knit along. Now, that covers all my knit alongs. Then, of course, as I shared last week, because I've lost my ever-loving mind, I am in 3 test knits as well that all end in November, like doop, 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 week. And the only one that I have cast on for is the one by Melanie Roundtree, which is the Floralina, or I cannot, Fortunata. I'll put the name down here. It's another one of those that I'm like, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that, but I know it's got to mean flowers or something because it's beautiful. It's got some tulips. I'll put a picture up. But I have cast on. I've only gotten a couple more rows done, so it's a little teeny tiny little cast on, but as you can see here, it's got some really pretty colors in it. It's got pink, and there's some purple, and there's some blue, and some kind of orangey yellow. It's a really, really pretty color by J.C. Rennie. It's called Unagi Pearl, and then I'm pairing that with a couple of Holst Garn colors for the flowers. And then I've got some green that I will use. In fact, Might wind up being this if I have enough of this left over as the stems. So I haven't gotten a lot done, but I have cast this on. And what I'm doing, I didn't do a gauge swatch, but here's what I'm going to do. When I get the back long enough that then I need to pick up the front, it should be long enough for me to block and check my gauge there. If I am off gauge and I need to change needle size, I will just rip it out at that point and reknit it. But to me, it's about the same amount of time to do that than to knit a gauge swatch. And then if the needle size is wrong, I have to knit another gauge swatch. Case in point, my next test knit. So last week I shared with y'all that I was doing this other test knit, and I was going to do it in one of the recommended yarns anyway. I'm going to use the Sandisk Garn Alpaca Silk, and yes, I realize I am doing a lot of Sandisk Garn right now, but it just is what it is. It's just how it has worked out. But I'm using the Alpaca Silk. This is a discontinued color. And I happen to have some in my stash, so when I saw that it was an alpaca silk, I was like, woo, yes. Well, I swatched last week with the mohair that I'm going to hold with it, which is the woolly yarn, one of the cones. And then I checked the gauge, and it is wildly off. Like, wildly. She got like 21 stitches, and I think I got 30. There is no way that's going to work. So I decided I have some mohair, like a little ball of mohair laying around, that this is the same length, so I'm not worried about, I don't want to use up all my cone yarn, so I'm not worried about it being a different gauge. It'll be the same gauge. I did do a little swatch with the Lucia, and I just didn't like, well, one thing I didn't like it, I liked it, I didn't like it enough to repurpose yarn that's already tagged for something else. So I decided I'd just use the mohair. Well, if I cannot get gauge, I'm going to go up. It's supposed to be a size 4 needle. And that's what I did the gauge swatch on. I'm going to go up to a 4mm or a US 6. If I don't get gauge with this, then my only other alternative is I have some drops alpaca silk, and it is thicker. This is 140 meters per 25 grams. I think it's 25 grams. It might be 50. I'd actually have to look because I'm not 100% positive. But anyway, it's 140 40 meters. And it's like 200 and something. So it's a thicker gauge. And so I thought, well, I would hold these two together. The problem is that if I do, in fact, let's say I get gauge on a size 4 or a size 6 or whatever, but I get gauge with these two together, and I can't get gauge with these two together, I have to make a choice. I either have to buy yarn, buy alpaca silk, which won't be too terribly bad because it is on sale right now. I'll get it from Wool Warehouse so I can have like really cheap shipping. And it's on sale everywhere that sells this. So I would have to buy probably 10 balls of it. So you're looking at about a $30 expenditure. It's not the money that's the problem. It's that I have a self-imposed rule that I don't want to have to buy out of my stash. But if I cannot get gauge with mohair, then my only other alternative, if I don't buy the yarn, is to, withdraw from the test. And I don't really want to do that. I hate doing that to designers. I don't want to withdraw because I can't get gauge. I mean, I would obviously reach out to her and be like, hey, I'm really struggling getting gauge. This is what my gauge is. Can you help me figure out what size I should knit? And can we switch me to that size? This is the Aran sweater by A Pearl Can Knit. And so, and if I'm wrong about who the designer is, I'll put it down there. But it's a beautiful sweater, and I really want it, and it's fully reversible, so it won't matter. I can just throw it on. And so I'm really excited about knitting it. So we'll see what happens, but let me know what you think I should do. Do you think that if I get gauge with the alpaca silk, I should just bite the bullet and order the yarn? I mean, it's yarn, right? How hard is that? I love yarn. I love ordering yarn. But I really do have this self-imposed rule. I would like to not have to pull or not have to buy yarn for test knits. I'd like to pull it out of my stash. So let me know what you think. Should I just reach out to the designer and say, hey, I don't want to buy any more yarn, so this is what my gauge is. This is as large as I can go, because if I go any bigger than a 4mm, it's going to be gapey, and I do not want it to be gapey. So What would you do if you were me? Would you break down if you meet gauge and just go ahead and buy the yarn, or would you reach out to the designer and see if you can switch? And if she says no, then would you ask to be removed from the test knit? I hate doing that. But let me know what you think in the comments. So that's the second test knit. And then the third test knit, I don't even have yarn for yet. Letha has ordered the yarn for me. It is a beautiful, I think it's called Ginger is the color name, but it's this beautiful like burnt sienna color that is a Cascade 220, and hopefully it'll be here next week, but I don't have yarn to swatch with yet because I do have 220 in other colors, but those are designated for other things, and I don't want to pull yarn out of that just to swatch. And it's not due till January. It is the Woody pullover, and I do not remember the designer's name. So I will put all that information down here. But I'm just waiting to get yarn for that so that I can swatch. So that is my third test knit. And of course, in addition to that, I already said I got to get this done because I've just got to get the dress done. What I'm going to do is, and I'm kind of glad that I haven't already caked up the yarn and attached it, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the sleeves first. So I'm going to knock the sleeves out because I hate sleeves with the Purple Passion. I've shared that multiple times. Sleeves are the bane of my existence. I hate sleeves. Hate knitting them. I don't know why, but I do. So I'm going to do the sleeves, and then I will do the skirt. I'll be done with this, and then all I will have left is the baby stuff, the baby dress and the baby blanket. So I will work on Azalea's dress, and as always, I'm still just putting along on my brother's sweater. When I get the body done, I'll bring it in here, but I'm not pulling two cones back and forth. It just sits right by my chair, and when I have time, I pull it up and I'll knit a row or two. So it's coming along. It's, I don't know, about right here on him. So I've got a ways to knit on the body. And then, of course, I have to do those cursed sleeves. I hate sleeves. But I will get them done, and I will have that done by Christmas. So other than that, I just have a little, and I do mean a little, a microscopic thing of Yarny goodness. That's it. I've been pretty good this week. I've only got 2 things to show you. I did share, I ordered the yarn for that one knit along, but it's not in yet, so I can't show it to you. But I did order a couple of things. So Little Knits had a big sale on alpaca socks by Lang Yarns, and I have desperately wanted to try this, but it's pretty expensive. It's $31 a ball, and I just hate to spend that much money on something that I'm not sure I'm going to like how it knits up. Well, Little Knits had a really big sale, and so I wound up ordering 5 balls. I got 5 for less than the cost of 2. So I went ahead and ordered a bag of it because I thought, worst case scenario, I can destash it and get my money back because it is such a good price. But oh, this is beautiful, and I'm really hoping that I'm going to be able to knit a sweater up in it. The sweater I found that I really want to knit is this held with Holzgarn Titicaca, which is their alpaca, their lace alpaca. And I have a blue. They don't exactly match, but they, I think, would really go well together. I'm going to do a little swatch out of them. Again, not for gauge, just to see how they look together. And then see if I just want to do a sweater out of this. I'm hoping that with the 5 balls, I will have enough to make a sweater and then maybe make a pair of socks, because, whew, this is nice. It is nice, nice, nice. It is 30%, or not 30%, sorry, 70% alpaca. I know y'all are going 30. 30's not like, be like back in Bozo whenever it was like, how much do you love your mom? 100 or 45? And of course all the kids would say 45 because you make it sound more exciting. So 70%, the exciting part, is alpaca, and then 30% is polyamide or nylon. So this is just, whew, I could wear a pair of socks like this, or maybe my son would wear a pair of socks of these. I'll let him feel of it. It really is nice and squishy. Now, the big expenditure that I did this week, I did do with Letha. And I got really excited. I've told you she carries Knitting for Olive. And she placed a pretty big order of Knitting for Olive, and it came in, and she opened the box on Thursday. Or no, it was Saturday, because I bought it Saturday. She opened the box on Saturday, and she let me look. And she bought 2 bags of the heavy merino in blue tint. Well, one bag came home with me. Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. And I will put a picture of the sweater that I'm going to make. It's a Sorry Nordland sweater, and I'd never seen it. I just went out there because I am trying to hold myself to account as well of if I'm going to buy yarn, I need to have a plan for it. So I didn't have a solid plan for what I would use this for. I just knew I wanted it because, guys, look at this color. It's beautiful. Obviously, I have a little blue theme going this week. Got a bunch of blue going on. But I really, really, really like this color. It's just stunning. So I went out there and I started looking. And honestly, it's a Sorry Nordland sweater, so I don't know how I missed it. But I'd never seen this sweater before. And I found, not only did I find pictures, and I will show the picture of the person's Ravelry photo that is in this color. It is just stunning because I showed everybody the picture, and of course Sorry does a really great job of doing all of hers in like a neutral color, and so I believe that the photo was in kind of a white color, and Henrietta was like, yeah, but is all that design going to get lost if you do it in this blue? So I went through the project pictures, and since heavy merino is the recommended yarn, a lot of people had used it. And I found one that was, in fact, in this shade. And I will put that picture up here. It's just absolutely stunning. So this one may be cast on sooner rather than later because I'm just in love with this color. And I really, I understand people say, oh, the heavy merino, it's more rustic. It's not as soft as their, no, it's not as soft as their merino. But girl, I can wear Let Loopy's next to skin. I'm kind of like Ruth Loves to Knit because she said today she's got one that she did Let Loopy in. And she said, I can wear it next to skin. It doesn't bother me. And the more you wash it, she said she has a shawl that feels like silk. Now, I'm thinking that's a lot of softening in order for it to feel like silk. But what do I know? Because I've only washed that sweater once. So I can wear Let Loopy next to skin. So this little roughness of this, which I don't think is rough. I think it's soft. I think it's nice. I'll be able to wear this next to skin with no problem. All right, so there is something that I kind of went back and forth on whether I was even going to say anything or not. But I do think that the knitting community as a whole, we do a pretty good job whenever somebody is suffering and rallying around them. And I don't know, if you watch Sherry from Good Knits, I'm sure that you already know this. But she is one of my favorite podcasters. I really like her. She's a Canadian who lives in Amsterdam. And she went into kind of a little bit of a knitting funk and didn't post for a while. And then she posted and she came back and all this. Well, then I saw that she hadn't posted again. And I thought, well, she may just be done, right? And then yesterday I was sitting there and it popped up that she had posted. And I got excited because I really love her and I like to, as soon as she pops up on my feed, I'm watching her. But it said saying goodbye. And I kind of thought, well, okay, she's coming on to say goodbye. That she's not going to post anymore. And guys, that was not what it was. Her mom passed away very suddenly and unexpectedly. And she was so vulnerable on that video. And I sent her a thing telling her how much I appreciated that because people need to be reminded that when something like this happens, it's okay to grieve and to be vulnerable and to cry, even in public. But she shared with us that her mom had passed away. And so she asked for us to put in the comments something that made us smile that day. And what actually made me smile yesterday was seeing that she had posted a video. Of course, then I was very saddened to hear the news. So if you get a chance, just go watch that video and drop her a nice little line. Give her a little love and let her know that the knitting community is there for her. And with that, guys, I'm going to log off by saying, hug the people you love. Tell them you love them. Because we are not guaranteed tomorrow. So today is all that we may have. So having said that, make sure the people that you love know that you love them. And I will see y'all next week. And guys, I do love y'all. And my knitting ladies at the yarn shop will know. I love each and every one of y'all very, very dearly. So with that, peace out. And I will see y'all next week. Bye.